Why women push men to their limits, and how it makes you stronger. Do you feel it? That constant, unsettling pressure. That subtle, yet undeniable, pull to be more, to do more, to step up in ways you might not have chosen on your own. Ways that often feel uncomfortable, even daunting. Do you, as a man, often feel tested, pushed, sometimes even tormented by the women in your life? Your romantic partner, your mother, your sister, perhaps even the pervasive, often unspoken, feminine expectations woven into the very fabric of society itself. Do you find yourself, in moments of quiet frustration or profound introspection, wondering why this dynamic exists? Why it seems to be an inherent, unavoidable part of the masculine experience? You are absolutely not alone in this feeling. This sensation is not unique to you. It is a universal truth, an ancient dynamic woven into the very fabric of existence, a pattern as old as time. And I am here to tell you a shocking, liberating, and perhaps even brutal truth. This relentless push, this demanding crucible that seems to challenge your very core, is not always a curse. It is often, in its purest, most brutal form, a profound, transformative gift. It is the very fire that forges you, the unrelenting hammer that shapes you into something far more resilient, far more capable, far more truly powerful and defined than you could ever possibly become in a state of continuous comfort, in the soft, unyielding embrace of an unchallenged life. Think for a moment about your own experiences, about the countless interactions that have subtly, or not so subtly, shaped you. You've almost certainly felt it. The subtle look of disapproval that cuts deeper than words, the unspoken expectation that weighs on your shoulders, the direct challenge to your boundaries, your decisions, your very frame of being, your sense of masculine authority. Perhaps it's the constant, seemingly endless need for emotional depth you haven't yet mastered. The demand for unwavering presence when your mind wants to wander, to escape, to retreat into its own thoughts. Perhaps it's the insistent call for clear, decisive leadership when all you desire is to relax, to drift, to avoid the burden of choice. This dynamic, this inherent primal tendency for women to test a man's resolve, his standards, his masculine core, is not always a conscious act on their part. It is often an unconscious, instinctual seeking, driven by forces far older than modern society. Why do they do this? Because, at a fundamental, often biological and psychological level, women are unconsciously, instinctually seeking strength, seeking direction, seeking a masculine force that is truly unwavering, truly dependable, truly capable of leading and protecting. They push, not always with the malicious intent to break you, but to find your breaking point, to discover if there is a point beyond which you will not be moved, a core within you that remains solid, unshaken, and unyielding amidst the chaos and uncertainty of life. When you meet that push with weakness, with resentment, with defensiveness, with surrender, you fail the test. You reinforce the very uncertainty they are testing. But when you meet it with clarity, with calm resolve, with an unbreakable sense of self, with a confident holding of your ground, you pass the test, and in doing so, you become unmistakably stronger. You solidify your presence, your authority, your very identity. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's crucial to understand that. This is about illuminating and understanding an ancient, powerful, and utterly necessary dance between the masculine and feminine principles. The world, in its pursuit of easy modern comfort and superficial harmony, often tells you to avoid conflict, to seek constant agreement, to find a partner who perfectly aligns with your current state, demanding absolutely nothing more, never challenging your growth. But let me be utterly clear. True growth, the kind that transforms you at your core, rarely if ever happens in such a soft, unchallenged, agreeable environment. It happens in the crucible, under intense heat and immense pressure. This push, this perceived burden, can feel like a constant, draining force. It can feel like you are perpetually giving, constantly being asked for more, navigating a complex emotional landscape that seems to shift without warning. A landscape where the rules are unclear and the terrain is always changing. This emotional labor, this unending demand for attention, for validation, for reassurance, for explanation, can exhaust even the strongest man. It can make you feel like you are perpetually falling short, never quite good enough, always missing the mark. The nagging voice, the look of disappointment, the relentless asking for change, the feeling of being critiqued for who you are, these are not just minor irritations that you can brush off. No, they are often direct, piercing challenges to your inner strength, to your masculine frame, to your ability to remain grounded, present, and unwavering when the very ground beneath you seems to move, to quake, to shift like sand. Many men collapse under this pressure, becoming resentful, bitter, withdrawing into themselves, or exploding in frustration. But the truly wise man, the man who understands the deeper, hidden game at play, sees this not as an attack to be endured, but as an opportunity, a profound opening for transformation. He sees it as the very friction that sharpens his blade, the very weight that builds his spiritual and emotional muscle, the very test that reveals his true capacity. To truly grasp the profound nature of this dynamic, to understand its true purpose beyond surface-level irritation, we must turn to the profound, sometimes unsettling, insights of psychology's greatest explorer of the unconscious mind, Carl Jung. He understood, with a genius that continues to resonate, that the human psyche is built not just on personal experiences, but on deep, ancient, inherited patterns of energy and behavior that he called archetypes. And within the eternal dance between masculine and feminine, there is a powerful, inescapable interplay that serves a higher, often painful purpose for your own evolution, for your journey toward wholeness. Jung posited that within every man, there is an inner feminine principle, a complex of archetypal images and energies, which he termed the anima. This anima holds the keys to a man's emotional life, his capacity for relationship, his intuitive understanding of the unconscious world. And very often, the women in your life, especially your most intimate romantic partners, serve as a kind of living, breathing mirror, reflecting back to you your own undeveloped parts, your own emotional weaknesses, the raw, unintegrated areas where your inner world is chaotic, neglected, or immature. When a woman pushes your emotional limits, when she demands a level of sensitivity, emotional presence, or intuitive understanding that you don't yet possess, she is not merely being demanding in a superficial sense. No, she might be unconsciously, instinctively touching upon aspects of your own undeveloped anima, forcing them to the surface. This is painful, yes, profoundly so, because it exposes your internal gaps, your areas of vulnerability. It brings to the surface your emotional immaturity, your fear of deep intimacy, your inability to truly connect on a soul level. It might reveal your impatience, your lack of empathy, your tendency to intellectualize rather than feel. But it is precisely in this discomfort, this raw exposure, that the potential for profound growth lies. She is not just pushing you, the conscious ego. She is pushing at a part of you, an underdeveloped aspect of your own psyche that desperately needs to awaken, to be integrated, to become conscious and strong. She is highlighting the blind spots in your emotional intelligence, forcing you to cultivate a deeper inner world. Beyond the anima, women also have a powerful, often unconscious, ability to trigger a man's shadow. The shadow is that deeply hidden part of you that you've kept locked away, suppressed, denied, or disowned. Your insecurities, your deepest fears, your unacknowledged weaknesses, your hidden angers, your desires you deem unacceptable or too dark to acknowledge. When a woman acts in a way that truly infuriates you, that sparks an uncontrollable rage, that brings out your worst, most reactive responses, she might be pressing hard on a deeply buried wound within your shadow, a part of you that longs for recognition, but which you are afraid to face. This feels awful. It feels like an unjust attack. It brings up feelings of shame, inadequacy, or explosive rage. But from a Jungian perspective, This exposure, though agonizing, is absolutely necessary. You cannot integrate what you refuse to see, what you keep hidden in the dark recesses of your mind. The frustration, the anger, the profound discomfort she ignites in you is not gratuitous. It is a clear, unmistakable signpost, pointing directly to an unexamined, unintegrated area of your psyche that demands attention, demands conscious integration, demands to be brought into the light. This push, therefore, forces you to look inward with unflinching honesty, to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather keep hidden, the aspects you judge and deny. It's a painful process, like surgery without anesthesia, like stripping away old skin. But it is utterly necessary for your wholeness, for your journey toward true self-mastery. Think of this dynamic in terms of the hero's journey, that universal, archetypal story of transformation that echoes through every culture and every age. In countless myths and legends, the hero must face formidable trials, overcome terrifying obstacles, and very often, these obstacles are presented by powerful, often enigmatic, feminine figures, not as evil villains to be defeated, but as profound threshold guardians, as forces of nature that demand a deeper initiation, a true transformation of the self, before the hero can achieve his ultimate boon, his true purpose. Think of Odysseus and the Sirens, whose enchanting songs test his very will to survive. Think of Circe, who turns men into swine, demanding a hero's cunning and strength to overcome her magic. Think of Hercules and Omphale, where the hero is forced to live as a woman, utterly stripping him of his conventional masculinity before he can reclaim his true strength. These aren't just seductive figures or vengeful goddesses. They are powerful, archetypal forces that test the hero's courage, his will, his cunning, his very self, his ability to adapt and transcend. They demand that he move beyond his current state, that he learn new forms of self-mastery, that he integrate new aspects of his being. The demanding queen, the elusive goddess, the challenging lover, these archetypal feminine forces, in their often demanding, seemingly unpredictable nature, serve as catalysts. They are the alchemists of the masculine soul. They provide the necessary chaos, the emotional intensity, the unpredictable element of the unconscious, to break down rigid, unthinking masculine structures, to dismantle the ego's comfortable defenses, thereby forcing adaptation, forcing growth, forcing a deeper, more profound understanding of oneself in relation to the wild, unpredictable emotional world. This is fundamentally why women push men to their limits, because it is precisely in those moments of extreme pressure, in those perceived limits, that the man finds out who he truly is, and, more importantly, who he must truly become. They push the immense rock up the hill, not to be cruel, but to see if you have the profound, enduring strength, the unwavering will, to push it back, to claim your own path. So, if this relentless push is indeed the crucible, if this constant testing is the unrelenting hammer, then what precisely does it build within you? How, in real terms, does this painful, challenging dynamic make you stronger, more formidable, more complete? This is where the profound transformation begins, where the raw discomfort becomes purified purpose. First, this constant push, this endless dance of challenge, becomes a forge of self-mastery unlike any other. When a man is perpetually challenged on his boundaries, on his opinions, on his decisions, on his very actions and the way he shows up in the world, he is not merely inconvenienced. He is forced, by necessity, to define them, to clarify them, to embody them with absolute, unyielding precision. He learns to assert his will, not with anger or aggressive reaction, but with quiet, unshakable confidence, with a deep inner knowing. He is forced to cultivate profound patience, to rigorously regulate his own emotions, to remain calm, centered, and decisive when the storm rages around him, when emotional demands threaten to pull him off balance. If he reacts with defensiveness, with irritation, with explosive rage, with sullen withdrawal, he loses. He loses his power, his integrity, his self-respect. But if he learns to absorb the blow, to understand the underlying dynamic at play, to allow the emotional waves to pass through him without drowning him, and to then respond from a place of inner calm, clarity, and unshakable strength. He wins. He wins not by defeating her, but by profoundly mastering himself, by expanding his own inner empire. This relentless pressure, this constant demand for an evolved response, hones your ability to consciously choose your response, rather than merely reacting instinctively like an animal caught in a trap. It forces you to become the serene eye of the storm, the calm center, rather than being swept away by its fury. This is the cultivation of true, internal sovereignty. Second, this intense pressure, this fire of constant challenge, is absolutely vital for clarifying your true purpose and aligning with your deepest convictions. When a man is truly tested, when his comfortable illusions about life and his role in it are stripped away, he is forced to decide, in the deepest, most honest part of his being, what he truly stands for. The constant push from a woman, or from the broader feminine principle in life, serves as a powerful acid test. It reveals, with brutal honesty, if his purpose is truly his own, intrinsically rooted in his deepest values and unique vision, or if it is merely an external construct, a flimsy facade easily swayed by the desires, the whims, and the shifting opinions of others. If your purpose is weak, if it's merely about pleasing others, about avoiding conflict, about fitting in, then the intense pressure of the push will shatter it, revealing its fragility. But if it's deeply rooted, if it comes from an unshakable inner knowing, from a profound commitment to your own truth, then the push will only serve to reinforce it, to make it shine brighter, to reveal its true, unyielding strength. She is, in a way, like the alchemist's fire, burning away the dross, the impurities, the inauthentic layers of your being, to reveal the pure, unadulterated gold of your true calling, your ultimate reason for being. She holds up a mirror, not always a flattering one, but one that is utterly truthful, forcing you, relentlessly, to ask the most profound questions. What do I truly stand for, even when challenged? Who am I, when stripped bare of all external validations? What is the core truth of my existence? Third, and perhaps most importantly for your transformation, this dynamic builds an unshakable inner strength that cannot be bought or taught in a classroom. The only way, the only path, to navigate this constant push, this inherent, universal challenge of masculine-feminine dynamics, is to actively, deliberately build an unshakable, impregnable inner core. This process makes you exponentially more resilient against adversity, more decisive in moments of uncertainty, more profoundly grounded in your own being, more truly sovereign over your own internal state, regardless of external circumstances. You learn, through this very difficult schooling, that your peace, your worth, your direction, your sense of self cannot be given or taken away by another, no matter how much they push, no matter how intense the emotional storm they create. This challenging process cultivates a profound, practical emotional intelligence. You learn, not just intellectually but experientially, to understand and navigate complex, often contradictory emotions, both your own chaotic inner world and the often intense, seemingly irrational emotions of others, without being consumed by them, without losing your own sense of self, without surrendering your frame. You learn to listen deeply, to empathize genuinely, but also, critically, to maintain your boundaries with clarity and strength, to stand firm in your truth, even when it means facing discomfort. This, my friend, is the fundamental difference between a weak man who collapses under the pressure, becoming resentful, bitter, and ultimately broken, and the strong man who is profoundly refined by it, becoming tempered steel, unyielding, and sharp. The man who resents the push remains a perpetual victim, forever complaining, forever blaming. The man who embraces it, who sees its true purpose, transforms it into a powerful catalyst for his own heroic becoming, for his own journey to ultimate self-mastery. This push is the chisel, and your soul is the magnificent marble waiting to be revealed. The discomfort, the irritation, the frustration, These are merely the sounds of the masterpiece being sculpted, the unnecessary stone being chipped away. This profound transformation means you stop being a wingless creature crawling aimlessly in circles on the ground, helplessly waiting for someone else to lift you up, to give you meaning, to tell you who you are, to define your worth. No. Through this demanding process, you realize, with liberating clarity, that you possess your own immense, powerful wings, and you, and only you, truly decide when and where to fly, how high to soar into the heavens of your ambition, and in what direction your unique journey will take you. This isn't about avoiding relationships or becoming cold and unfeeling, devoid of human connection. It's about entering them from a place of profound inner strength, of being so utterly complete and sovereign within yourself that you are impervious to the tests. Not because you shut down your emotions, but because you rise, consciously and powerfully, to meet them, and in doing so, you define your own reality. So what is your path forward, now that you understand this profound, often hidden dynamic? This push, this challenging dynamic, this ancient dance between masculine and feminine, is not a punishment. It is a profound gift, a raw, undeniable wisdom encoded in the very dance of life itself. See women not as antagonists to be fought, not as forces to be appeased or escaped from, but as powerful, essential catalysts for your own relentless growth, as living mirrors reflecting back the vital inner work you still need to do, as the necessary friction that sharpens your very edge, that hones your spirit. Embrace the challenge. Do not, under any circumstances, resent it. Every demand, every test, every moment of perceived conflict, every instance where your patience or resolve is strained, is not an annoyance. It is a profound opportunity. An opportunity to define your boundaries with clarity, to assert your will with quiet authority, to deepen your purpose with unwavering commitment, to strengthen your resolve against all odds, to master your emotions so they serve you, not control you. Focus relentlessly on your own inner work, on building your masculine frame, on solidifying your core purpose, on becoming a man of unshakable integrity. Become the mountain that the fiercest winds cannot move. Become the unyielding force that the most powerful waves cannot erode. Become the silent, strong center that holds steady while the world storms around you. This deep, conscious, inner work, fueled by the very challenges you once dreaded, transformed by your understanding, leads to a profound, incomparable reward. You become a stronger, a more integrated, a more capable, and a more truly sovereign man. You become a man who can not only lead himself with unwavering clarity and conviction through life's greatest trials, but who can also, if he chooses, engage in a truly healthy, powerful, and deeply fulfilling relationship, not from a place of neediness or fear or endless compromise, but from a place of abundant strength, overflowing purpose, and unshakable self-possession. This transformation, this becoming, is your ultimate victory. She is the fire, yes, but you are the steel. Will you melt, or will you become harder, sharper, more magnificent, forever changed by the heat? The world, in its constant pursuit of superficial ease, tells you to seek comfort, to avoid friction, to find simple, predictable harmony. But true power, true self-mastery, true lasting greatness is forged only in the intense fire of challenge. This push from the feminine, this ancient, demanding dynamic, is designed not to break you, not to diminish you, but to reveal, to test, and ultimately, to strengthen your unbreakable core. Let her demands, therefore, be the chisel, and let your soul be the magnificent masterpiece waiting to be revealed from the rough stone. Let the intense pressure of her presence turn you into a diamond, a gem of unparalleled clarity and strength. Stop being a soul for sale, yielding to every external pull, every fleeting desire, every passing expectation. Begin, with every fiber of your being, to build an unshakable, self-possessed soul. You must become the mountain, utterly unmoving. The world will tell you to soften, to yield, to adapt to external wills, to bend to external pressures. But the ancient wisdom, amplified and delivered by the feminine principle itself, demands, with an uncompromising voice, that you harden your resolve, that you define your essence, that you become truly, powerfully, and unequivocally yourself. Embrace the push. Lean into the challenge. Your strength, your true, indomitable strength, awaits.